The legal definition of advertising, where it all begins. As we continue from Section 22, we now take a deeper dive into the legal framework that defines and governs real estate advertising in Arizona. Advertising is not just marketing, it is a legally defined activity under Arizona law. ARS paragraph 32-21012 defines advertising broadly to include any form of communication intended to induce a person to buy, sell, lease, or exchange real property. This includes written, verbal, digital, and visual representations. The key takeaway is clear. If it influences a real estate decision, it is advertising and must comply with the law. Electronic media, no exceptions for technology, under AAC R4-28502L, online advertising, including websites and social media, is treated the same as traditional advertising. There are no exceptions simply because the platform is digital. This reinforces a consistent theme throughout this course. Technology does not change the rules. It expands their reach. Clear and prominent broker identification, the foundation rule, AAC R4-28502E, requires that all advertising clearly and prominently identify the employing broker. Clear and prominent means readily noticeable and easily identifiable. This may relate to size, placement, or visibility. This requirement ensures that the public knows who is responsible for the transaction. Transparency is not optional, it is required. Practical application, where and how to display the broker name. The employing broker's name must appear in all forms of advertising, including flyers, websites, social media, and promotional materials. On websites, it should be visible without excessive scrolling. On social media or limited character platforms, the linked content must include the broker's name. This reinforces a key concept. If space is limited, compliance must still be achieved through structure and links. Team advertising, avoiding the illusion of independence. Teams must clearly disclose that they operate under the employing broker. Advertising that makes a team appear as an independent brokerage is a violation. The broker's name must remain prominent and clear. This ties directly to supervision. Teams do not reduce broker responsibility, they increase it. Blind ads, a strict prohibition. AAC R4-28502A prohibits advertising that fails to disclose that a licensee is involved. These are known as blind ads and are a common violation. Every advertisement must clearly show that a licensed professional is part of the transaction. Consumers must always know who they are dealing with. Owner-agent disclosure, when you are the seller. When a licensee sells their own property, they must disclose their status as both owner and agent by using the term owner-agent. This applies to all advertising, including signage and online listings. This requirement protects consumers from confusion or misrepresentation. Disclosure protects both the public and the licensee. Accurate claims, truth over marketing. All advertising must be accurate and not misleading under AAC R4-28502C. Misrepresentation, whether intentional or accidental, can result in disciplinary action. This connects directly to earlier sections on fiduciary duty and standard of care. Accuracy is both a legal and ethical obligation. Advertising, another broker's listing. Proper attribution required. When advertising another broker's listing, the listing broker's name must be clearly displayed. Failure to do so can lead to violations and disputes between brokerages. This reinforces professional cooperation. Respecting listing agreements is part of compliance. Signage rules, permission and control. Before placing signage on a property, written authorization from the owner is required. Additionally, signs must be removed when authorization ends or upon request. This ties back to property rights. Advertising cannot override ownership rights. Use of acre, precision matters. The term acre can only be used when referring to exactly 43,560 square feet. Misuse of this term can be considered misleading advertising. This reinforces a broader concept. Precision in language is critical in real estate. Trade names and franchise disclosure, clarity in branding. When using trade names or franchise branding, the broker's licensed name must also be included along with required disclosures. Consumers must be able to clearly identify the actual brokerage. Branding must never create confusion about who is responsible. Real estate schools, advertising compliance applies. Even real estate schools must comply with advertising rules by including their name, address, and contact information in all course advertising. This reinforces that advertising rules apply across all areas of the industry. If you are promoting services, you are subject to regulation. Broker supervision, the core responsibility. The designated broker must supervise all advertising activities within the brokerage. This includes reviewing content, training agents, and implementing compliance systems. This ties everything together. Advertising compliance is ultimately a supervision issue. Teams, compensation, and structure, staying within the law. Team structures must comply with Arizona law, including supervision, compensation, and licensing requirements. All team members must be licensed under the same broker, and compensation must flow through the employing broker. This reinforces a key principle: structure must align with the law. Unlicensed activity in advertising. A criminal risk. Unlicensed individuals cannot advertise in a way that suggests they are licensed. Doing so can result in felony charges under Arizona law. This highlights the seriousness of compliance. Advertising violations can become criminal violations. Real-world example, team branding violation. A team advertises under a large team name with the brokerage name in small print at the bottom. This creates the impression that the team is an independent brokerage, which violates advertising rules. The broker may face disciplinary action for failure to supervise. Presentation matters just as much as content. How this section connects forward. This section builds on everything we have covered: supervision, E&O risk, fiduciary duty, and compliance. Advertising is where all of these elements come together in a public-facing format. As we approach the conclusion of this course, remember this: every advertisement is a legal document, a compliance test, and a reflection of your brokerage all at once. Online discussion. Question 1. Why is advertising defined so broadly under Arizona law? Answer: because any communication that influences a real estate decision must be regulated to protect the public. Question 2. What is the risk of blind advertising? Answer: it hides the involvement of a licensed professional, which is a violation of Arizona law. Question 3. Why must team advertising clearly show the brokerage name? Answer: to prevent confusion and ensure the public knows who is responsible for the transaction.